I'm Derek Joyce and I'm here with Paul O'Murda, and this is I'm Not the Expert, but this is a podcast where we talk about everything from South Park, which we know nothing about, to quantum physics, which we also know nothing about. So grab a cup of tea, sit back and join us. I've never tried chocolate and popcorn, but I've seen caramel. Popcorn. I've never tasted that. It could be
not good.
Chocolate and popcorn. Everybody loves chocolate and popcorn, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Not necessarily together, because it sounds kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
Chocolate comes from the cacao tree, and it's CACAO. Cacao.
Okay.
And probably through a couple of 100 years of being passed from mouth to mouth over in Central America,
right,
across to Europe,
it's
via
cocoa.
Spain, that it's just been cacao. How do you spell that? It's COCOA, I suppose, and it became cocoa.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not a linguist. I don't know for sure, but I just think that's probably what happened.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So kind of language is always evolving.
Yeah. Millions of people around the world enjoy chocolate in all its forms. There's dark chocolate, there's milk chocolate, and there's white chocolate.
I love white chocolate.
Dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate. That contained the most cocoa.
Yeah, it's very bitter. It's very
it's so
not
nice.
a fan.
I wouldn't go into a shop and give us a bar of chocolate. What do you want? Milk chocolate, white chocolate, or dark chocolate? And I'd go, geez, I feel like a bar of dark chocolate walking down the street.
Yeah.
I did.
But now Lisa's the same as me. Now she's very much into milk chocolate and white chocolate. So whenever a box of chocolates comes into the house, invariably I'm left with the dark chocolate ones.
I will eat the dark chocolate ones as well. And
I'll send them over to you next time.
If I'm left with the dark chocolates, I don't mind. I'm happy.
No.
Yeah, no, they're grand.
I don't mind it. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind it, but I much prefer milk chocolate.
They say white chocolate is not actually chocolate.
Okay.
Because it doesn't contain cocoa.
Right, okay.
But
I love white chocolate.
It does contain cocoa butter. And what it is, the cocoa is the dark part of it.
Yeah.
And that's separated from the cocoa butter in the bean, right? So they roast them, they take the shells off, they're left with this bean, and they take the white part out. That's the cocoa butter.
Right,
and
so
then
that's
they're
like
left with the powder.
That's like a coating that comes off it, or is it
I've never seen one.
It's a byproduct basically of when they roast it, it's a byproduct or whatever. Yeah.
So
I understood,
technically, to me, anyway, white chocolate is chocolate. It's made from cocoa butter. It mightn't be the dark part, but it's still.
Yeah, same consistency as chocolate, and it's. Well,
I think it's gorgeous.
I love it. Absolutely adore it.
Never liked Milky Bars when I was a kid.
Did you know? I lived on them.
Never.
Even now, I'm 44 years of age, Dan. I still buy a packet of Milky Bar buttons every now and again.
Oh no, I'm not talking about Milky Bar buttons. I'm talking about Milky Bars.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Milky Bars were too thick for me. There was too much chocolate.
No, I love the big chunky
don't break my head. I like.
Aldi do a lovely one.
I like white
big slab. Ones. Right, okay.
So
I haven't had one of them in a long time.
No, I haven't.
No, Aldi do a lovely slab of white chocolate, like a big slab. Love it, absolutely love it, and it's a real kind of a mild, milky, nearly melting them out. Like it is chunky, but it nearly melts the minute you put it in your mouth. Oh, it's gorgeous. Anyway, sorry, go on, Del. Go on.
Dark chocolate is the best for you of all of them because it contains the most cocoa, and it contains antioxidants such as flavonols and polyphenols. This is where it gets a bit sciencey for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So just let me run.
Here's the science bit.
Antioxidants neutralize free radicals in the human body and prevent oxidative stress.
Okay, what's a free radical? Because I've seen these little bug things running around,
I will get there in a second.
Raving revolution inside your bloodstream.
Oxidative stress, first, refers to the damage that excessive amounts of free radicals can inflict to cells and tissues in the human body.
Okay, so they are kind of like
free radicals.
Raging a revolution.
Free radicals are highly reactive and unstable molecules that are made by the body after exposure to toxins.
Okay. A bit like mouse radicals, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, and they're called free radicals because They are molecules or atoms that exist without an electron. They're missing an electron. So they're free radicals. It went right over my head too. But I love the
I'm just seeing this
science part of it. But anyway,
I'm just imagining little microbes in berets running around.
Free radicals live for only a fraction of a second.
Right.
But in that time, and the fraction of a second it's a result of the exposure to cigarette smoke or UV.
Okay.
To a lesser extent, vape.
Not going to go there.
No,
me and Dale have very different opinions on vaping, and we're not going to.
They only live for a fraction of a second, but in that time can damage DNA.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so that's serious.
Yeah, it is.
Right, and dark chocolate is good for these, or it causes stuff.
This is where it gets circular. So I'll be back in a second.
Right. Okay.
Free radical scavengers, such as vitamins, minerals, and enzymes, are present in antioxidants. Right. So which dark chocolate is full of.
So like an antibiotic attacks a virus.
It's weird.
Sorry, not a virus. An antibiotic attacks an infection. Dark chocolate or enzymes and all that stuff you just mentioned.
Yeah.
They attack free radicals.
Minerals. Or they negate their effectiveness. I don't know scientifically, chemically, biologically how.
But the end result is less free radicals, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And dark chocolate full of antioxidants, more than white chocolate and milk chocolate.
Okay.
Because milk chocolate, which I will get onto later, is a watered down version.
But I like the glass and a half now. That's
in Europe. Irish chocolate wasn't allowed to be sold because it wasn't chocolatey enough. Someone told me that in the 90s.
Okay, that's interesting because if you look at kind of Scandinavian stuff, like you get it in Aldi, Milka chocolate. I don't know if you've ever tried it. It's purple. It's very milky, and I really like it. It's very light. It's much lighter than the likes of Cadbury's and what we kind of grew up with as chocolate. It's like that kind of white chocolate that I was on about earlier. It literally melts in your mouth nearly. It's a very light.
I remember when I was a kid, aunties coming back from Europe. They were in France or Germany or something like that, and somewhere Swiss or Austria or whatever.
I can't believe you didn't mention the home of chocolate.
Which is Switzerland?
No, Belgium.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay. Belgian chocolate, come on, man.
They used to bring home chocolate and ration it out so we didn't have too much because we'd eat it all. And the next day we'd be saying, man, my throat was a bit sore after that chocolate. And it was a bit raw.
Right.
And it was because of the cocoa count, because Irish chocolate
we weren't used to it.
Didn't have the same cocoa count.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason. There you go. So
interesting.
Free radical scavengers such as vitamins, minerals, enzymes are present in antioxidants, which are present in dark chocolate, which brings me all the way back around. Before the end of the 15th century, chocolate existed only in Mesoamerica.
That recently?
Yeah, it wasn't anywhere else in the world.
Wow.
Like we didn't know about
world
chocolate.
Without chocolate,
yeah.
My God.
How nuts is that? But that's like the 15th century, so 1492 will be the expedition to the Americas.
Of course,
It was all that kind of
Cusco
time.
and
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Archaeologists have dated human presence in Mesoamerica to possibly 21,000 BC.
Okay, so now explain Mesoamerica to me now.
Mesoamerica are what we now know today as northern Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize, Guatemala, and central and southern Mexico.
So Central America and the islands.
Yeah,
essentially.
And I'm saying central and southern Mexico for a reason.
Okay.
And I'll get to that in a second, and that blew my mind.
I'm going to make a list here of all the things you have to get to, Del.
So, by 11,000 BC, hunter-gatherer tribes lived, they populated most parts of the New World south of what we know as the United States now, south of North America.
So
because all of that...
Southern states.
Because all of that, including northern Mexico,
would have been
Texas
under now
a glacial fucking ice cap.
Okay, even northern Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like they
that far south, like
it's not like they moved hunter-gatherers so far and went, you know what, lads, this is good enough.
Yeah.
Going further north was too cold.
They basically met the ice wall.
Nuts. It was absolutely
And the White Walkers.
nuts. I haven't watched any of that series.
Have you not?
I have no interest in it whatsoever.
I binged season 1. Now, this is years after it aired. I didn't watch it when it aired. I didn't think it'd be my cup of tea. Watched season 1, and it was okay. Like, it was good. But my God, it's one of the greatest twists to end the season I've ever seen. And then I went into season 2 and I watched maybe 3 or 4 episodes, and I just went, you know what? Can't be arsed. And I haven't gone back. I really do want to do it because I know. Like,
and the other thing about the zombies, which is not the recent zombie thing that was out, which was brilliant.
Walking Dead, you're talking about. Yeah, I watched one episode and it ends with him in a tank and all the zombies are coming and it's like, how's he going to get out of this? And I realised I didn't give a shit how he got out of it. I just never went back.
There was no one I cared about.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing about films is to be able to cling on to something.
I'm saying with books as well. Like
want
books,
to win.
You know, like I love Stephen Baxter's books, right? It's very hard science fiction, you know. And characters are an afterthought for this guy. It's all about the idea and the science, you know. So a lot of his books are a hard read. But he did do one series that was very character focused, and I loved it. I absolutely loved those ones. But I've tried to read several of his other ones, and again, it's just unless you've got a character you can cling to, it's just really, really hard. But anyway, I've dragged you way off topic.
But the whole point of good books, good films, good series is to have somebody to cling to, or something, an objective to get to.
Yes.
That you
to
hope,
elicit an emotional connection.
That you hope
with the audience
will be the outcome. Which is why you're on the edge of your seat going, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, when I didn't get it from one episode of Walking Dead. Now I know from social media and stuff and friends who did watch it, there definitely is an emotional connection to those characters developed
some people
over the season.
But
I just
didn't have it.
Zombies are not my thing. They never were.
I love zombies.
And yet, funny, the one short movie that I made when we were in college was a fucking zombie movie.
Yeah, okay.
I was outvoted on that. I didn't want to make a zombie movie. I had no interest in making a zombie movie. But there you have it. So the one movie that bears my name is a zombie movie.
Every time I tell my students every year, by the end of this year, you will make your own short film based on anything you want, whatever you like. Every one of them go to the zombie.
Because it's so easy to do. It is very easy to do. And don't get me wrong, when we made the little zombie movie over in the college, which you can see out the window, we had some very, very funny set pieces in it. Like there's a lot of fun can be had there, you know, with a zombie movie. Like
They're not easy to make, man.
Yeah, no, we learned that. Although I tell you, we managed to do it over 2 days. It was pretty good. It's just the guy that was meant to edit it and put it together was a lazy shit, never bothered. So all we ever got of it was a trailer.
Okay.
But hey.
Okay. Well, it is what it is.
It's
if
college.
You still have the footage. Go and do it.
College.
Go and edit it.
You know, no, I don't. I gave everything to bloody him.
Okay.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Right, go on. Sorry.
By 11,000 BC.
Sorry.
They all lived in central, as high up as central and southern Mexico.
And then there's a big ice wall.
It was too cold.
Yeah.
Okay. And the animals that they were not domesticating, but that they farmed, goats.
Yeah.
And all that kind of thing. It was better for them in a temperate kind of climate.
Obviously,
I mean, it wasn't mad, hot, equatorial that we know now.
Yeah.
So, around 1900 BC, people of the region that is now Mexico were cultivating the cacao tree.
Okay.
Which is where the cocoa pods come from.
Right, okay.
Cocoa pods that would grow on the tree contained up to 40
beans.
40 beans. And they were ground down with their stone and their like a pestle and mortar.
Yeah.
Ground down, and then they were made into a drink.
Oh, okay. So hot chocolate basically came before, edible chocolate.
It's not the hot chocolate that you're thinking about.
No, it's not cocoa.
The drink.
Yeah, sorry, hot cocoa as it would have been.
No,
it even that's not.
Even if you're thinking about that, going, geez, yeah, they had hot cocoa. They didn't.
Right. Okay.
It was a much stiffer drink. Right. It was a much more invigorating
probably had psychoactive
concoction.
properties as well, I'd imagine, in that kind of...
I wouldn't say so. I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean, like,
maybe mixed with
you
something
can get a
else.
high from chocolate, like, you know, if you know, it does make you feel good. It releases endorphins, so I can imagine in its pure sense like that, it'd be pretty potent stuff, like. Like,
Yeah,
maybe not
I don't know.
psychedelic, but it would
I
certainly...
wouldn't say it was psychedelic.
No.
Jesus, if it was psychedelic,
But
I'd
psychoactive,
now.
though, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
your endorphins would be through the roof.
But
from
it's
it,
not
you know?
known. It's not known who invented inverted commas chocolate.
What we know as chocolate today. Right.
Well, that is known. But
Oh,
it's not known who came across this pod
and went, let's eat this.
let's open this, and then let's take the 40 of them and let's eat them. So it's not known who did that, but the Olmecs are credited with it. So a tribe in Mexico or Honduras or Guatemala or wherever it was, Peru, called the Olmecs, it's credited to them.
So I just want to stop you there. Thank you, Olmecs. Thank you, Mexico.
Yeah, big time. They used to mix, like when they ground it down, they used to mix it with cornmeal and chilies.
Okay.
So you were talking about your jalapenos.
Yeah, well,
Somebody was
there
probably there
you
before,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, way before I was there. Like.
And I never tasted one, but I do have an image in my head of a chocolate bar that has chili flavorings or chili essence in it. And I don't know who makes the chocolate bar, but I do recall
that definitely sounds like a thing that I'm familiar with.
There was a whole luxury chocolate, inverted commas, luxury chocolate
I know,
line brought out and had all these oranges and limes and chilies
I'm not
and
a fan
salted
of chocolate
caramel and
orange.
all that
Oh
kind of
God,
stuff.
no. They're
But yeah, it wasn't the relaxing mug of cocoa that we all know, but it was an invigorating concoction that energized the drinker. So it might have been drunk at ceremonies before war parties went off to war.
So
or
definitely
whatever.
psychoactive then, yeah.
So yeah, possibly.
I'm stuck on that one, definitely.
Mesoamericans believed that the cacao tree was gifted to them by one of their gods, a feathered god by the name of Kukulkan.
Kukulkan.
Yeah, so it's Kukulkan.
So not derived from the cacao tree.
Okay,
So not
say that again.
cacao.
Cacao.
Right, so that's not derived from the cacao tree, is it?
No.
Okay.
Well, before, I mean, the thing didn't have a label on it. The tree didn't have a label on it saying this is a cacao tree. So
no,
I'm sure they named it.
That's what I mean. Was it named in his honor? Like, is that where the name comes from?
It only contains one letter.
Yeah.
The same as
okay. So how is it spelled?
Yeah, Kukulkan is Kukulkan.
Okay, sorry.
No C's, no O's.
Yeah, no, I misheard you.
Okay,
I thought you said cocoa.
Okay. Quetzalcoatl.
Yes, I'm glad you said it.
Quetzalcoatl is the name given to the same god by the Aztecs that gifted them the cacao tree.
Do you ever do a spelling bee like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That's going to be the final
Yes,
question.
it is, yeah. Now, I found this mad interesting.
Well, yeah.
Quetzalcoatlus ends with a US.
Right.
Was the largest flying dinosaur to have ever lived and had a wingspan of 40 feet.
Right, I'm pretty now. That can't be a coincidence. It's got to be derived. Okay.
It lived 70 million years before these tribes did.
Right.
But it
wasn't named until the
late
19th century.
Cretaceous
Yeah.
period. Okay. A guy called Douglas Lawson of the University of Texas found the first evidence of Quetzalcoatlus in Big Bend National Park in Brewster County, which I assume is in Texas. I don't know. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. He found that in 1975. Okay.
Right.
He named it Quetzalcoatlus after the chocolate gifting Aztec god.
Okay.
So he named it after Quetzalcoatl.
So chocolate really wasn't called after him, but a dinosaur was. Because that makes loads of sense.
Yes. Well, there you go.
Awesome, yeah.
How cool amazing. Is that?
Yeah. Well, they have to get the names from somewhere, don't they?
Aztecs also used cacao beans as currency and drank chocolate at royal feasts.
Oh wow!
But again, it wasn't the chocolate that we know. It was that stiff,
that
drink.
acrid, possibly
Yeah,
psychoactive. Yeah. Cool. And they use it as actual currency.
Yeah. So how much?
So
is
they
that?
had cities made out of gold, and they were using chocolate beans for currency. Okay.
Yeah. Well, how many times did your parents buy you chocolate money when you were a kid?
Oh, absolutely. There you go. Yeah.
It all leads somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
There are conflicting reports on when chocolate got to Spain/Europe.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. Actually, just before you move on to that, something else just popped into my head there when you're talking about using it as currency, and I was kind of flippantly joking about the golden cities and stuff, but literally, yeah, if you think about it, actually, in Bobby Sands' poem "The Rhythm of Time," there's a line: "So meekly tame and unaware of the deathly power of gold." The Aztecs didn't realize how coveted their gold would be when the Spanish arrived.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, yeah.
But that whole cities of gold thing.
Yeah, it's a myth in many ways, but there was a lot of gold.
Well,
they did have a lot of gold.
The cities weren't built out of gold,
No.
but their treasures were there. And the fact that they were lost cities were because when the explorers came to South and Central America, they brought with them all the diseases from Europe.
Yeah.
And the tribes over there had no way of fighting
antibodies,
nothing to fight these things. So
of course,
when they died off, and the Amazon and all the surrounding vegetation areas and all that kind of stuff grew back and swallowed up the cities, they became lost cities.
Yeah.
So lost cities of gold would have been not referred to the structures being gold.
No,
most likely every
all of the treasure that they had in it and stuff. Yeah, but no, like what I was saying was, I mean, they didn't realize the global value.
Yeah.
Well,
they didn't even know they lived on a globe.
I know, yeah, true enough. They liked, like all of us, I suppose, they liked the shiny, nice metal, and it was very easy to work with, and that's why gold is so expensive.
People are just magpies, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. But the Spanish guys that arrived, they knew what it was worth.
Yeah, well,
and they plundered what they could.
I have no argument against that.
Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah, okay, there's conflicting reports on when it got to Europe. Some say it was with Columbus and others say it was with Cortez. I don't know. I didn't find categorically one way or the other, but it was one of them. What we do know is...
wasn't Columbus much later? He was 1776.
Wasn't Columbus 1492?
Oh, 1492. Sorry, 1776 was when they got their independence. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, 1492, sorry.
Anyway, somewhere between 1502 and 1550, chocolate hit Europe. So that's
and we haven't been the same since then.
We don't know who did it. We don't know who brought it, but that's when it arrived. Between 1502
I'd love to shake him by the hand. If you haven't guessed it, I'm a massive chocoholic.
All aristocratic houses in Europe had chocolate paraphernalia. And I mean paraphernalia by the silver platters.
That's a loaded word.
The silver platters that you'd have sitting on tables with their drinking cups and their jugs.
Their liquid chocolate,
everything had that. They had all their dishes and bowls and whatnot and serving spoons or whatever.
No, I'm an absolute chocoholic. I really am. I wish I lived back then.
I like
go through phases.
When I get an Easter egg, I'll have that in some way, shape or form, where there's a sweet inside or a bit of the shell left, up to 2 months later.
I
don't.
No,
I don't.
Doesn't happen
much.
in my house.
No.
I kind of binge though. I could go months without a bar of chocolate, and then I'd eat it every day for like a month.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, I do.
That's not me at all.
It comes and goes, but no, but when I get like a nice chocolate, and it's usually white chocolate as well, like that, a really nice chocolate, I just keep buying it for it, and I just keep at it.
That's not me.
I can be a bit,
No. Anyway, missionaries spread stories. Missionaries that obviously went across to the inverted commas New World.
Oh right, yeah.
Spread salacious stories about Mesoamerican customs in which girls did alluring dances.
Okay.
That's could be somewhere where it comes from as an aphrodisiac.
Oh, okay.
It does contain...
Is it considered to be an aphrodisiac?
Chocolate? Yeah. Absolutely.
Is it?
Yeah. Aztecs thought it was an aphrodisiac as well.
Okay.
It does contain...
Maybe there's something to be said for dark chocolate.
Phenylethylamine.
Yeah, which is...
But that could, that could be a placebo. It's going to contain some chemical.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Whether it's
in
an
Lucozade,
aphrodisiac
which I drink ridiculous
Too
amounts of
much of it.
Lucozade, as you know. Although I've cut back massively now in the last while. But I can't even pronounce that phenyl.
I'm not pronouncing it again.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that is in it. But I believe excessive amounts of that gives you a bad dose of the thingies that you don't want to be having a bad dose if you're not near a toilet. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, too much of anything is going to give you a bad dose of something or other.
Yeah, but no, that stuff in particular can cause like severe diarrhea, apparently.
Anyway, moving quickly on.
Yeah, sorry. Well,
chocolate.
That's all I know about that.
This is where the chocolate story gets a bit ugly.
Okay.
Chocolate was time consuming to cultivate.
Okay.
This is the 16th century, so we moved on from 15th century to 16th century.
Okay, yeah.
Imported slaves from Africa was white man's solution to this hard to cultivate problem.
Okay.
Fucking white people.
As usual.
Yeah.
Just for the record, we're both white, we can say that. Okay?
Yeah, okay. So 1800s, so fuckers.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 1828, the cacao press was invented by Conrad van Houten. So mill houses.
Dutch, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was Van Houten. So mill houses.
Oh, Millhouse's surname is Van Houten, is it?
His ancestors.
Oh, okay. And was to Denise Van Houten or Van Houten?
I'm sure it could be as much as I am to James Joyce, which is not at all.
Exactly. Yeah, true enough. Yeah. No, I just been joking.
This machine could separate the beans' natural fat, cocoa butter, leaving only the powder.
Right, so that's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah, but
cocoa butter was the light, buttery thing, fat.
Yeah, fat that boils off it, I'd imagine, when you're
cooking it.
Was the
cocoa powder that you know.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's like when you cook a burger and all the shit that runs out of it is basically the fat. So
the powder was then mixed into a drink. And how thick the drink was depending the way it does now, how much chocolate
how much you put in.
Into.
Yeah. And believe me, I've seen drinking chocolate like a paste because my kids are a bloody nightmare when they get up really early in the morning.
There's also coffee
everywhere.
Houses. There's also coffee houses share really thick chocolate, white thick, and it's all I see is people with big chocolate mustaches, which is all I'm thinking about the guys in the 17th century or 17 and 1800s sitting in their opulent houses among their noble friends.
Yeah.
All of them with fucking chocolate mustaches.
Yeah, well, when my kids
and the
were
girls
younger,
fanning themselves, hiding their chocolate mustaches. So it must have been a fucking disaster.
Yeah, well, no. Just thinking back to when my kids were much younger, when they weren't allowed to use the kettle. Like, they'd sneak into the kitchen or they'd get up really early, like, but we'd be fast asleep in bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. And you'd get up and there'd be chocolate paste everywhere. And I mean paste, like the consistency of brown sauce or thicker. And it'd be all over me counters, and there'd be cups with it congealed in the sink. They'll have made it on cold milk. Yeah. But they'll have used like half a tub of bloody hot chocolate and a drop of milk and mix it and drank that. Oh Jesus, no. No, but the mess, yeah.
So the powder was separated. The powder was what was left over when the natural fat, the cocoa butter, was separated. Okay? Yeah. It could be stored into a drink and you'd have a chocolate drink. Yeah. Or it could be recombined with the cocoa butter, and that was the square slab of chocolate we know in our bars today.
Right, that's and that was Van Houten who came up with that idea, was it?
He came up with that.
Okay, all right.
A Swiss.
Thank you, sir.
A Swiss chocolatier, Daniel Peter, is a guy with 2 first names.
Yeah, okay. Well, he must be an internet scammer. Definite internet scammer.
Daniel Peter added powdered milk in 1875 to create milk chocolate.
And again, thank you, sir.
He's the guy that created milk chocolate. You have to love the Swiss chocolatiers.
Oh, yeah. We prefer Belgian, but yeah. Although, having said that, actually, no. Scratch that. I prefer Scandinavian. I love milk chocolate. I love it. It's absolutely
I've never
gorgeous.
had it.
Have you not?
Yeah.
It's
I've had
delish.
Belgian chocolate, but I mean,
this
hang on,
is
Jesus Christ,
this
that's the
is
only
like-
chocolate for me.
no. It's
yeah,
so
whatever.
creamy. It's like it's almost like drinking a bar of chocolate. Like
Yeah,
it's
maybe-
so it's like Milky Bar, but it's
Yeah,
brown
maybe
chocolate.
Maybe it
gorgeous.
contains a lot of cocoa butter.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really, really creamy. It's just, yeah, the texture's beautiful. Love it.
So by the 20th century, chocolate was widely available to everybody.
Thank
It wasn't
you,
just.
the maker.
It wasn't just. Well, that comes from inventing milk chocolate, our Swiss chocolatier, and that comes from the cacao press, which was by Van Houten.
Yeah, yeah.
So well done, lads.
Yeah, fair play.
So it was
Thank you.
widely available to everybody. There was massive demand required more cacao trees.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was widely
more
available to
slaves to
everybody.
harvest
So
them.
we need more cacao trees. But the problem was cacao tree only grows in an equatorial climate.
Right.
So if you are sitting right in front of an atlas or a globe now, have a look at it and trace your way across from Central America all the way across to your right.
Yeah, and a lot of that
you
is
land-
desert where nothing grows.
All the way across to the right, across the Atlantic Ocean, and you land in Western Africa.
Yeah.
So they because moving slaves in the other direction was so expensive, or more expensive than they were willing to do. They got cacao trees
and
they
moved
started
them to West
plantations
Africa.
in West Africa,
Wow.
and still had their slaves, but had
had ready
cacao
access
tree
to their
plantations.
slaves as opposed
Yeah.
to having to transport their
Yeah.
slaves. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
Sickening, isn't it? You think about it.
Yeah.
Started to kind of rethink my love of chocolate.
Well, no, here's the thing. So they moved not all the trees, but they started plantations in Western Africa. Ergo, the white bastards set up plantations and they got slaves to do the work there.
Right.
For next to nothing. Even today, this is the 21st century, farmers get very little money
Oh, yeah.
from a bar of chocolate.
Yeah, no,
and
I mean,
we're talking a minuscule amount.
Yeah. Like you're talking about a ton, they're getting pennies. But there is, in a similar way to coffee, there is now fair trade coffee.
There is. And I will
Chocolate,
get
and
there.
I'll always try to,
As a result of farmers getting very little money, child labour and indentured slavery is rife in Africa.
Oh, it is.
It's
Yeah.
rife.
Big time, yeah.
It's estimated that up to 2 million kids are slaves.
That's horrible.
Isn't that unreal?
It is. The 24th century, that's a disgrace.
Fair trade is a more ethical way of buying chocolate. So if you've got a chance...
Is it though? And I haven't looked into this, and I'm not saying anything to the contrary, but I'm skeptical about those labels that are put on things.
You
Like,
see,
when they say fair trade, how fair?
the thing when they say fair trade bananas or fair trade chocolate or fair trade coffee or whatever it is, the people who say it's fair trade are going to be the ones scrutinised by people in a better position to scrutinise than you are.
Yeah, true.
And say,
yeah.
come here to me, fucker. How fair trade is this?
Yeah.
And you never hear a peep out of them because it is fair.
Yeah, well, that's true. I've never heard a scandal around
Yeah.
fair trade or someone saying that it's not fair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
are getting what they would be getting in the West.
Yeah. So
Essentially.
if you do
I'd like
have
to
a
think that's
choice,
what it
and
is
I'm not
anyway.
saying when you go out, it'd be lovely to see Mars and Nestle and all these. It'd be nice to see them do it, but they don't. So if you've got a chance when you're buying chocolate, do buy fair trade.
Yeah, no, I always try to. I do always try
so do
to, to an extent. It's always a little bit more expensive as well. But I think I'm open to correction on this. I'm pretty sure Aldi have a commitment that I think all of their own brand kind of stuff is all fair trade.
I don't know
I'm
that.
pretty
for
sure
sure.
not 100%.
That'd be great.
I'll have to look into it. I
Yeah,
do
do
remember
look
seeing
into it
something
then.
along those lines not that long ago anyway. Or that they were widening their fair trade range or something. But I do know that the ones Lisa brings home, those big slabs, they have got the fair trade logo on the back. So
Good.
that's,
I'm happy. As of 2015, the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire,
The one with the backwards flag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
produced 40% of the world's chocolate.
40%.
Of the world's cacao beans, I would say.
Yeah. Wow.
40%. Isn't that mad?
Yeah.
Oh, and I found this as well. I looked into this because I was thinking, Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I was wondering when Willie was going to get mentioned, and because it was gas, I told my partner Lisa, I told the kids what we were going to talk about today, and the first thing, every one of them said, I didn't tell them all at the same time, like at different times during the week, and the first thing everyone said was Willy Wonka, and I said, right, I'm not going to mention Willy Wonka. I'm not going there.
I looked this up.
He's done it. Right, come on. You're dragging me down a rabbit hole now.
Lads, turn the podcast off now if you don't want to hear about Willy Wonka.
Okay, deadly.
In Roald Dahl's book, the Oompa Loompas
Yeah.
weren't green-haired, orange-faced
No.
little people
No, they
who
weren't.
worked making candy with a song in their hearts.
Yeah.
Oompa Loompas in the film were
Well,
rescued.
basically Aztecs.
Oompa Loompas in the film were rescued by Wonka from the Wang Doodles, the Hornswogglers, and the Snozwangers.
Snozwangers, yes.
Yeah. In Roald Dahl's first edition of his book, the Oompa Loompas were slaves from Africa.
Okay.
They were 3,000 strong tribe of pygmies imported, inverted commas,
Jesus.
from deepest, darkest Africa.
Yeah, now when they went back and made the Johnny Depp movie,
which I thought was fantastic.
I love
Johnny
but
Depp.
That's
so good.
But the origin of the Oompa Loompas in that, and even the look of them and everything else, is much closer to that than what they did in the 70s. With, the orange and green hair and stuff. If you look, they were very much kind of that kind of, they look like Aztec-y kind, that kind of, deep, dark tribe of little people or whatever. But the African slaves thing, that's a big no. And I know recently there's been a lot of talk of cancelling Roald Dahl and changing the books.
He was quoted as saying, and I'm not vilifying or making, he's not a villain here.
No,
that's not what I'm trying to get. He was quoted in an interview when this was brought up to him. He said, I created a group of fantasy creatures. The white kids in the books were the most unpleasant of all.
That's very true.
Really
they were. I mean, isn't that the whole kind of, cautionary tale of the story? Yeah.
It didn't occur to me that my depiction of the Oompa Loompas was racist, but it did occur to the NAACP and others.
Right.
And they approached him.
Okay.
And he sat down with them. After listening to their criticisms, I found myself sympathising with them, and he revised the book.
Yeah, and he changed it. Now, and as I was kind of going into there now, and come here, I glossed over it, I didn't really get deep into it, but I know there was a big hoo-ha recently where the publishers had announced that they were going to release new editions of Roald Dahl's books with certain things changed and modified and taken out to make them more, compliant with today's values, and there was a massive pushback against it. I'm very woke, Del, and I'm doing the inverted commas here in the air. Woke, like I am very, very.
What is woke to you?
Woke is giving a damn about other people, basically.
That's all it is.
Essentially,
all it is empathy.
Being left wing, and I'm very much in favour of tearing down statues of bloody slave traders and stuff that they've done.
That's
like that.
unbelievable that they have them up.
Yeah, why are they there?
That blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, even around Dublin, we have still now statues and street names after some of our biggest oppressors. Nassau Street, right?
True.
Do you know who Nassau was?
Yeah.
He was the guy who said that wiping out the Irish at the tip of a sword is not efficient enough. If an act of God such as a famine were to happen, that would be much more efficient. We have a street named after him in our capital city, Del, and that's ridiculous. Anyway, sorry, that's my political speech over and done with there.
Said we weren't doing politics, religion, or sport.
Yeah,
We've done all three in the last 2 weeks.
Well, you can cut it out if you want.
Okay. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was written in 1964.
Right, okay.
So Roald Dahl's book, 1964. And I don't know when the revised edition, when he revised it, was. Yeah. But it was in around the time. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie was in 1971.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great too.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
The Johnny Depp version, which I preferred.
It's very different. Very much closer to the book.
Darker. And he was a great Willy Wonka.
He was brilliant.
I was watching.
Although I got very Michael Jackson vibes off him.
No, there was I was watching. There was a clip on the piece I was looking up about Roald Dahl's book and all that kind of stuff. And he's great. Like,
absolutely.
To all his bits.
But no, come here, listen, Tim Burton, Johnny Depp and Roald Dahl are like, they're made to be together, you know what I mean?
So brilliant. He's talking to what was the kid's name? Mike TV.
Mike TV, yeah.
Was walking down the corridors, they're going from one room to the next room.
Yeah.
And he's saying something to Willy Wonka. Johnny Depp turns around to him and says, You really have to stop mumbling.
Yeah, I have no clue what you're saying.
You're beginning to bum me out. Look, he's dead. He's really good.
So deadpan. Well, yeah.
But Wonka is due for release in December 2022.
That's right, the TV series.
I've never read anything about it. And I don't particularly want to see it. I don't particularly want to see it.
No, I do want to definitely want to see what they do with it. But no, just going back to the Johnny Depp one, I just want to say one more thing about it. The thing that it doesn't live up to the 71 movie in is the songs. The songs in the 71 movie are brilliant.
Annoyed me.
Did they?
Yeah. But the songs annoy me in all the Disney movies.
Yeah,
as well.
I'm not a big.
That wrecks my head.
Well,
the only ones
some
that
of the Disney songs are
the only ones that didn't annoy me. And being an animator, I would have watched all the films anyway. And when I was in college, I watched them every week, and we analysed them and broke them down and all that kind of thing. But the only ones that didn't annoy me were the songs from Encanto.
Okay.
Did you watch Encanto?
I haven't.
Jeez.
Rosie has watched it like
It's
500
really
times. I
It's
haven't
great.
watched it. Is it?
I thought it was
I must
great.
have a look at
but
it.
the songs didn't detract from the story or the arc of the story. You know the way
I think Moana was very like that as well. The songs were very natural in Moana. That they didn't seem forced.
Yeah, I've seen Moana once, and it didn't occur to me that these don't interfere with the storyline at all.
Yeah,
but whereas all the other songs do, and I just found that they didn't in Encanto.
Now, having said that, I mean Disney has some brilliant songs, like great songs. Yeah. I'm just not sure I want them in the middle of my movie. I know what you're saying, like definitely.
No, I don't.
But I thought the songs in Willy Wonka though were pivotal to the movie because it's the Oompa Loompas singing, and ad-libbing on the spot about what's just happened to whether it be Augustus Gloop or Veruca Salt, and it was kind of clever like that, and some of them are iconic, Now the likes of earlier in the movie before they get to the factory and the mother is singing Cheer Up Charlie and stuff, they're very forced. Yeah. But the ones in the factory I thought were great.
9,000 years ago, there was a tall grassy plant called Teosinte.
Okay, you're some bio for this mad word stuff.
I swear to God, I didn't make up the words. It's the people in Central and South America. That's who did it. Anyway, so popcorn comes from the same area.
Oh!
So 9,000 years ago, there was a tall grassy plant called Teosinte.
Right.
It was cultivated in what is now southern Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And it's not like corn stalks, which have a bit of rigidity about it. It was a grassy plant. I'm not sure how firm it was, but it wasn't as rigid as corn stalk.
Right.
It did produce ears of corn, but ears of Teosinte corn.
Right.
They weren't the corn you're thinking of.
That's probably years of kind of scientific crossbreeding and stuff like that.
Have you ever seen the maize or corn that the Native American Indians brought, the glass corn?
Yeah,
that's magic looking stuff.
Yeah, isn't
I'd be more inclined to eat corn if it would look like that.
Yeah,
it's the yellow, even though that's not bad looking. Yeah. But I'd be more.
Actually, love the way corn looks.
But anyway, an ear of Teosinte corn gave between 5 and 12 seeds of hard shell kernels.
Yeah.
So think of your popcorn kernel, except they were a lot more moisture, because they weren't as dried.
Okay.
Some types of these kernels, these hard shell kernels, when hot enough, explode. Yeah,
now see there, now I'm going to stop you right there, because this is actually something that I did actually think about that. Right, and I'm glad you were doing this, because, this is my ADHD brain at 5 o'clock in the morning, random thought. How the hell did they discover that if you heat up corn kernels, they pop into something that's really tasty?
I wouldn't say Well, you see, and I don't know this for a fact, but the discovery of fire, it gave off heat.
Yeah.
It radiated heat, so people would have been attracted to it.
Yeah.
They knew that cooking meat in it was better.
Yeah.
So
they would have tried cooking everything and anything. Yeah,
pretty much throw everything and throw that branch on and
see what happens.
No, it tastes like crap. But the stuff that's on the branch tastes, so I'm sure it was trial and error.
Yeah.
But when hot enough, some type of these kernels explode. When hot enough, the water inside this hard shell kernel turns to steam and expands, and that ruptures the shell.
Causes your pop, okay. Yeah.
The starch inside the same kernel turns into a gel-like substance, and when this shell is ruptured by the expanding steam that the water turned into,
turns inside out essentially.
It expands too, and its speed dries in the air, becoming the popcorn that we know.
Wow, and it's only from that particular type of corn, is it? Because I always thought popcorn, and zero research, I always thought popcorn was just literally dried corn kernels, like from, bog standard corn.
It might be, but
I don't know.
I'd imagine when you dry regular bog standard corn, I can't see the kernel going hard.
Right, yes. I know zero about corn.
No, me either. I only know what I looked up.
Yeah.
But if you think of an ear of corn that you might get served on the side of your plate with your dinner.
I don't know what you're eating.
If that corn is dried.
Sorry. Corn on the cob.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking more, maize, corn, the kind of golden one looks a bit like a plaque.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of, those kernels. That we make our flour from.
Yeah. But still, when those are dried, I can see them wrinkle and deteriorate as opposed to... So it is specific
now that
types
you mention
corn.
it, yes, corn on the cob is much
But I don't know which types, and I don't know how many types.
Yeah, I mean, how dry would you have to make that to make... Yeah, sorry, yeah.
So,
I was away there.
Yeah, there were other types of corn, but this one persisted.
It's more of the kind of sweet corn variant. It even looks like it.
It does.
I don't know why I was thinking of the other corn at all.
Teosinte, that's what it was.
Okay, right.
The grassy thing.
Makes a lot more sense.
Okay. By the time European explorers arrived at the end of the 15th century, indigenous tribes were already eating a variety of different corns.
Right.
Popcorn was not
one of them.
They didn't eat or rate popcorn.
Right.
And what nutrients do you get from popcorn?
Nothing.
And popcorn doesn't even fill you. It'll make you sick if you eat enough.
Yeah.
You go or nothing like.
Yeah.
But you get nothing from it. And maybe you do get a lot of nutrients that I don't know about.
No, it's literally has no nutritional value as far as I know.
Well, there you go.
Because that's something I'm actually always bloody telling the kids, because they, they're only doing around popcorn.
Yeah, so popcorn was not huge in indigenous tribes' diets. It just didn't happen. It did, however, make an appearance in Europe.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was on the same scale as chocolate.
Right.
But it did make an appearance in Europe. At first, cinema owners weren't interested in popcorn.
Right, okay.
Now, this is the early 20th century. So we're talking 1905.
Yeah.
1910.
The early days of movie theatres, yeah.
Cinemas were upper-class, opulent places with chandeliers and winding staircases.
Hence why they were known as movie theatres.
And drapes to beat the band.
And I even remember now, ourselves now, growing up in the late 70s, early 80s.
The Savoy.
Yeah.
The Ambassador.
That was the next one I was just about to say, yeah. And they were opulent, there was all red velvet.
Yeah.
You kind of miss that going now. It doesn't have that magic.
It's got very plastic now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But cinemas were upper class, opulent places, and no one wanted distinctive, stale, old popcorn or to have it mashed into expensive carpets.
Yeah, okay. It's fair enough.
No one wanted to listen to a room full of people crunching on popcorn when they were watching a movie because the movies were silent. There was no audio.
Right, okay.
So the noise you would have been the organ player playing at the back.
Yeah, a little bit of music.
Yeah, ding, 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 ding. Yeah. And a couple of hundred people chewing popcorn. So
yeah, that's true.
The cinema owners weren't into it. In the 1920s, the talkies arrived. Audio, coupled with movies being cheaper for everybody because it was more accessible to people that weren't as opulent and upper class and noble.
So it wasn't like a
class
night at
as
the
you want.
opera.
It
was something.
A night at the opera was a night at the opera.
Yeah, it was something for everybody. Yeah.
So theatre owners changed the whole outlook on the whole popcorn thing because it was a snack that you could give to people that was cost effective. That didn't cost that much to make.
Cheap
to
produce.
It's so cheap. So they used to sell licenses to vendors to produce.
It's actually funny you say that because I worked in a cinema years ago. I would have often worked on the popper, but I remember the first time working on the popper, and like
the popper. Is it called the popper?
It is. Yeah, right, it's literally called the popper where you make the popcorn. Like, and you would put a cup of seeds in, like literally a cup, and that would make a bin bag full. Of popcorn.
And that's how many people is that? Well, I mean, there's stupid sized popcorn.
And look at the prices they charge for it. But do you know why food in cinemas is so expensive? And it actually makes a lot of sense.
Why?
Up to 90% of the ticket price goes direct to the movie studio.
Jeez.
So there you go. That's why box office is so big, and in Hollywood, and everyone's talking about what a certain movie made. So movie theatres or cinemas are essentially fast food outlets that show movies.
Yeah.
That's what they are, So that's where they make their money is on the food. And in most countries...
And they fucking make their money
on the
food.
But in most countries, and particularly in the States, but I'm pretty sure a lot of countries in Europe too, you're not allowed to bring your own snacks. Whereas here, you are. The only thing that they draw the line at is you're not allowed to bring fast food in because the stink and the mess that has to be cleaned up.
Are you allowed to bring crisps in?
Yeah. Probably shouldn't be because it's so bloody noisy.
I remember I was in a cinema in Germany.
They serve nachos and they're bloody even
more crunchy. I think we were watching, I can't remember what we were watching. The Full Monty. I think we were watching The Full Monty when I lived in Germany.
Didn't know you lived in Germany.
Yeah, I did for a few months.
Oh, okay, that's something we're going to have to come back to. Definitely.
But I got a beer in that thing. We were sitting having a beer. And you can do it now over here in some places.
I never forget going to Malta and McDonald's served beer.
When I was 14 years old, we went to McDonald's. Went away on a school trip to France.
Big Mac and a Kronenbourg place. Yeah. Like, what?
We were 14 years old. Yeah, teacher was standing at the counter in McDonald's going, no beer, no beer.
Deadly. But yeah, that's mad, isn't it? It's just mad.
So, theatre owners sold licenses to vendors to sell popcorn, but eventually they cut out the middleman and sold it themselves.
Yeah, and that's where your popper comes in.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they're making
so they start making them themselves. Yeah. Popcorn has been trialled as an eco-friendly packing as opposed to the polystyrene things.
Jesus, yeah. It's not very rigid though, is it?
But it attracts vermin.
Ah, of course, yes.
And it rots when it's wet.
Yeah. It all, believe me, I know, because...
And when dry, it's 8 times heavier than the polystyrene packaging. So we're not going to be using
popcorn anytime soon. Yeah. We're not going to be used for... No. I was going to say, could it be used for insulation, but no, same thing, it rots.
Yeah, there you go.
So, no use.
So there you go. I ruined popcorn and chocolate for everybody.
No, you did not.
No, I haven't.
You had to put a goo on me. You had to put a goo on me. I actually bought some popcorn today, so I'm going to have some popcorn and jalapenos and a nice glass of vino sitting out the back. If there's any of the weather left by the time we finish here. I really enjoyed that, Del. Fair play.
Good.
If you also enjoyed it, please... click follow, like and subscribe, all that nice things, and tell your friends. Don't keep it a secret.
Share the wealth.
Share the wealth, indeed.
And thanks to everybody in the Cardiff Community Centre for letting us
record here. Yeah, absolutely. And they're always so excited to see us, and they're always asking what we're doing next. And I know they do listen. So yeah, no, fair play. Thanks, guys.
And
see you next time.